Hello and welcome back to the Wasteland, welcome back to Fallout 3, where today we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 best energy pistols in the game. Now, there's not a whole lot of energy pistols, there's not a whole lot of energy rifles, but I felt like if I was going to do a top 10 of all the energy weapons, it would kind of just consist of the rifles with a few of the handguns actually mixed in. So I feel like this way works a little bit better to kind of talk about each of them individually. If you were wondering how many energy pistols are actually in Fallout 3, there's about 14 of them, so a decent amount, although most of them are like laser pistols and some of them are very specific, like the Mesmetron, which is really only useful as a tool. Anyway, let's start off our top 5 list here with our number 5 pick, the atomic pulverizer. This is one of the alien weapons that you can find in Mothership Zeta. This one is a very easy to miss weapon though, because you just have to go down a hallway and then it is just in one of the doors on the side there, and it's just up on a shelf. You pick this up and it looks very much like the atomizers that you find all over the alien ship, but this one is far better, mostly for an action point build. Even for a general purpose build, this one's actually really good. It has good damage, it has good damage per second, it's got above average crit chance, it's got more crit damage than most other pistols, it's got very low action point cost at only using 12, so it's really good in a VATS build, and it has no spread. It also holds a lot of rounds at 20, and it uses a super common round that you find on the alien ship. So it's actually a really good general purpose weapon for just about everything. And if you want to rush Mothership Zeta, you can get this and it can carry you all the way through the game if you want to go with a pistol build, or even just this as a regular build. A lot of the alien weapons from there are fantastic for an energy weapon build. Coming in at number 4, we've got the Captain's Sidearm. This is actually what you get at the very end of Mothership Zeta. This one you get from killing the captain and taking it off of their body. This one looks just like the other alien blasters, so this would be the alien blaster in the Firelands, but it doesn't function the same, nor does it use the same ammo, which is really nice. And this one functions as a shotgun, which makes it incredibly strong because shotgun weapons are really strong. This weapon I would say is probably the least strong of the shotgun weapons though, because it's just not the most accurate. I noticed it has a decent amount of spread. Sometimes it's a little bit awkward to be using. This one has good damage and good damage per second, as well as since it's a shotgun, it hits really solid crits. This thing does 240 damage, assuming that you hit with all the energy balls from it. So that's really good. That's not accounting for a sneak crit or for extra crit damage from like better crits. This one also uses the alien power module, which is found all over in the mothership. This one does consume 3 ammo every time that you use it though, so you will be going through ammo quicker than it. And if you're going with a dedicated VATS build, then I would say the previous weapon is actually better than this one in a lot of circumstances. Most circumstances that you're going to be using it in. The shotgun is still going to be undoubtedly good on really any character, even if you're not going with energy weapons, so this one is pretty solid. It's just not a weapon that I find myself reaching for a lot, even after I've completed all the DLCs. So coming in our number 3 spot, we have another alien weapon. This whole list is made up of like 4 alien weapons. There's a lot of them. This one is the Fire Lance. This one is not actually found in Mothership Zeta. You do have to find this in the regular game, and I think this one is better than the Alien Blaster, at least if you have a build set up for it, which pretty much just means you have to take Pyromaniac, because that will get you more damage than the Alien Blaster. This one does initially less damage than the Alien Blaster, but it has fire on it, and it does actually count as a fire weapon. It's one of like the 5 or 6 weapons in the whole game that count as fire weapons. This one is extremely rare though, and there's no set location for this one, so it is technically the rarest weapon in the game, because any other weapon you can either rush a quest or rush right to the location of that weapon and get it. The Fire Lance, you can't really do that, or at least not consistently, because it is from one of the random events that's around the Wasteland. So you could just go to every single random event location and hopefully get the Fire Lance there, but it's not a guarantee. This event happens when you go to a random event location, there's an explosion overhead, you'll get some radiation, and there will be alien power cells laying on the ground. There's probably not going to be a whole lot of them, but there's usually a couple there, and then the Fire Lance will land somewhere on the ground. This can be really difficult to find because it can blend in with the ground really easily, so it's not always the easiest to find, especially in certain areas. And if the ground is very uneven, sometimes it gets eaten, which makes it so it's still there, but it's underneath the ground, so you're probably not going to be able to find it. You could still potentially grab it if you do the third-person trick, where you go into third person and spin your camera around. Sometimes you can interact with stuff under the ground or through walls that way. That would work, or you can go and get Dogmeat. If you get Dogmeat, you can take him to the location and then tell him to go find you weapons and go find you ammo, and he can pick up all the power cells, as well as he can pick up the Fire Lance there. So that makes it way easier, and if you do find this location early on, you can just rush over to where Dogmeat is, and you're good to go then. The Fire Lance does have some limitations though, just like the Alien Blaster. Since it uses the same power cells, there is only a limited number of them. There's some at the actual alien blaster, both locations of the alien blaster, where one is kind of in Mothership Zeta. You can get it without needing to go to Mothership Zeta, but you kind of have to do it in a weird way. You have to do like the third person trick to grab it. Otherwise, if you just walk right up to it, you're going to go to Mothership Zeta, assuming that you have that DLC. And you can also get some at the very end of Broken Steel. There's one that you can find in the Enclave base at the very end. It's in a hidden location, though. Well, not really hidden. It's in a locked location. I think it's a hard lock. I don't think it's very hard. And then it's inside of a box. Once you open up that, then you can get them there. As well as there is some in Fort Independence, I believe, as well. Or maybe it's the Outcast Fort. It's all around really, really strong, but it does have a limited lifespan. And once you run out of those cells, then that's about it. You can't really use it anymore. Unless you want to like dupe the cells or cheat in the cells, you can do that too in the game. At our number 2 spot, we have another Mothership weapon. This is the MPLX Nova Surge. This is the unique plasma pistol, and this one is really strong. This does really high damage per second. It has a 3 times crit chance, so it hits crits really often. Does high crit damage on top of that. It does consume 2 ammo every time you shoot it, which is kind of its only downside. It uses just the regular standard energy cells, so you can find those all over the place. Same thing that goes to like the regular plasma pistol and the laser pistols. This one is also another weapon that you can miss. You have to find this one in the cargo bay, I believe. And this one is kind of hidden, where you do need to have, I believe, 75 science in order to unlock a PC so that you can get inside of a safe. Once you do that, then you can pick up this weapon, and this weapon is really, really strong. It's one of the best weapons overall. It's very convenient to be using. I think it's one of the best handguns in the game normally. The only kind of downside to it, besides it being the DLC weapon, is that it also is a plasma weapon, so you do have to lead the shot a little bit. But once you get used to that, it's very solid. It does break kind of fast, though. That is another downside. It has substantially less health than a regular plasma pistol, so you're going to have to be feeding other plasma pistols to this plasma pistol, because you're probably not going to be running out of energy cells. And then our number 1 energy pistol in Fallout 3 goes to the Protectron Gaze. This is one of the unique laser pistols. This one is just very easy to get, because you can rush this one right away, which is why it's here at our number 1 spot. This one may not be as strong as some of the others, like the Captain's sidearm can do more damage and more damage per second, and it's a better shotgun, but you do have to go through a whole DLC to get it. Same thing goes with the Nova Surge, where you can miss it and you have to go through an entire DLC to get it. The Protectron's Gaze is much simpler to get. You just have to go to the Superhuman Gambit and then side with the Mechanist. That's not very difficult. You can complete this quest in just a couple minutes. You can actually complete this within the first hour of starting Fallout 3, and you'll have one of the strongest pistols in the game. The main reason why this is one of the strongest pistols in the game is because this is another shotgun style weapon. So this one fires out multiple beams from it, doing high damage and high damage per second. It also hits crits really well at 120 crit damage. Not quite as much as other shotguns. It's actually on the weaker end of the shotguns, but it's still quite strong. As well as this one doesn't actually consume extra ammo, and it's got a decent amount of item HP, plus laser pistols are super common to find, so picking them up and feeding it to this isn't that big of a deal. Holding 20 shots is really good. It is a pretty decent shotgun weapon that you can just rush right at the very start. It's a very fun weapon and a very strong weapon, which is why it's here at our number 1 spot. Tell me your thoughts on these weapons. Where would you place them? And what energy pistol do you think is the best? Or which 5 do you think are the best? I'd be interested to hear that. Up next, we're going to be taking a look at the energy rifles. Thank you guys so very much for watching this. Hope that you guys enjoyed it. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.